June 22, 1941. Before sunrise, millions of German soldiers stood silently along the Soviet border. Within minutes, thousands of tanks rolled forward, fighter planes filled the sky, and the largest military invasion in human history began. This was the day Adolf Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, the attack on the Soviet Union. For nearly 2 years, Germany had conquered country after country. Poland, France, Belgium, and much of Europe had fallen under Nazi control. Hitler believed that no army could stop him. But one nation remained untouched: the Soviet Union. Although Germany and the Soviet Union had signed a non-aggression pact in 1939, Hitler never intended to keep that promise. His real goal was to conquer Soviet land, seize its oil fields, and destroy communism forever. On June 22, 1941, that plan became reality. More than 3 million German soldiers, over 3,000 tanks, and thousands of aircraft attacked across a front stretching nearly 3,000 kilometers. It was the biggest invasion ever launched. The Soviet forces were completely surprised. German bombers destroyed hundreds of Soviet aircraft on the ground before many could even take off. Entire Soviet divisions were surrounded within days. As German panzer tanks raced forward, villages and towns fell one after another. Millions of Soviet civilians suddenly found themselves trapped in the middle of a brutal war. Hitler believed the Soviet Union would collapse in just a few months. At first, it seemed he was right. German forces captured huge territories, taking hundreds of thousands of Soviet prisoners. Entire armies disappeared in massive encirclements. But the deeper the Germans advanced into Soviet territory, the more difficult the war became. Roads turned into mud after heavy rains. Supply lines stretched hundreds of kilometers. Fuel, food, and ammunition became harder to deliver. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union refused to surrender. Factories were dismantled and moved far to the east, where they continued producing tanks, rifles, and aircraft. Fresh Soviet soldiers kept arriving at the front. Then came winter. Temperatures dropped below -30°C. German soldiers, expecting a quick victory, lacked proper winter clothing. Weapons froze. Vehicle engines refused to start. Frostbite spread through entire units. While the Germans struggled to survive, Soviet troops launched powerful counterattacks around Moscow. For the first time in World War II, Hitler's seemingly unstoppable army was forced to retreat. Operation Barbarossa had failed to achieve its main objective. Instead of ending the war quickly, Hitler had opened a massive new front that would drain Germany's strength for years. The invasion of the Soviet Union became one of the greatest turning points of World War II. Millions of soldiers and civilians would lose their lives before the fighting finally ended. Hitler had expected a fast victory. Instead, he had begun a war that would ultimately destroy Nazi Germany. Outro. Operation Barbarossa wasn't just the largest invasion in history. It marked the beginning of Hitler's downfall. The road that started on June 22, 1941, would eventually lead all the way to Berlin in 1945.